The action is the juice. This is the wide receivers preview for the 2025 season. I'm Mike, that's Fitz, and that is Chuck. Thank you if you checked out the previous episodes. This is my favorite one because, I don't know, there's so much variability, and finding the hidden gem at wide receiver really unlocks a lot for you. So this has become, I think, the industry darlings, the wide receivers, because of the PPR leagues across the board in most contests that are for bigger dollars. So this one's fun. Let's dive into it. I'm going to pull up my guys board here in just a second, but any overall thoughts on the position at whole that took a little bit of a beating last year compared to what the running backs did overall? I'll kick it to you, Fitz.
Yeah, just kind of really takes a hard left after after 11 guys for this year's draft. A lot of high volume guys at the top, and then it's just to me a strong line. And then there's that little pocket of 12 to like 20 guys where you're just like, this guy could ruin my season, or I could just go in another direction. Guys like maybe Ladd McConkey, I should probably separate from that list because he's pretty safe. But you get guys like McLaurin, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Marvin Harrison, even T. Higgins to me is a little bit of a risk this year. Guys that I'm not terribly confident in drafting. It gets kind of gross after the first, after basically, you're sort of solidified wide receiver ones this year.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. It's exactly my thought as well. Having run through a couple of high stakes drafts already, wide receiver feels really thin this year. Exactly in the way that you're describing. The guys at the top, which really felt like it stretched to 20 something names last year, really feels like after AJ Brown, Ladd McConkey, it feels like you hit an air pocket until you get to, maybe Tet. Like then it starts to get really I start to feel really anxious about, if I don't have a wide receiver one already, like where is this? How am I going to fill this position?
Yeah, and so the reaction to that read, I think, is to either definitely get the guys up front, or I don't want to say like anchor wide receiver, but maybe that's the move, where there is a wide receiver dead zone in that middle pack there that no one's really comfortable taking. But without further ado, I will put up the my guys list here, and I will zoom that in just a touch momentarily. See how that works. All right, Chuck, I will let you do the honors and leading off with your guys at the wide receiver position this year.
I already kind of tipped my hand on this one a little bit in the overall preview pod, but I think Tet McMillan is going to have the kind of season that's going to surprise people at the end of it. I think he's very, very live to catch 105, 110 balls. He's not going to get the 170 targets that Malik Neighbors got last year, but it seems like they're going to build the passing plane out of him. And so he was an elite prospect, highly drafted. I realized there was some concerns about his separation, but his ball in hand stuff is elite. And Dave Canales likes to lean on one outside wide receiver one. And so I think he's the best bet after kind of the consensus elite guys that I feel comfortable. If I start a robust running back build early, I'm fine if he's my wide receiver one.
Yeah, I agree. I spoke to it earlier, but I'm not understanding what people are not getting on board with. 62.6 overall. Like, I was reading it just a second ago, and I was convinced he was in the spot that Terry McLaurin was in, just because I don't know, my eyes were playing tricks on me, and I was like, yeah, I'd rather have him than DK. Yeah, I'd rather have him than DJ Moore. Yeah, I'd rather have him than Devontae Smith. And then I was like, oh shit, that's the wrong name. He's down here in 62.6, not 44. So I mean, I guess that's the greatest test, is just don't read well and see if you still like the guy. 18 spots higher than where he's currently at in ADP. Any thoughts there, Fitz, on Tetaroa?
Yeah, I was just trying to find out. I had some thoughts on him early in the year, what I thought about his tape, but the one thing about his slot numbers, I was trying to dig that up. But I just, he was wide receiver out of Arizona, drafted number 8 overall. He can kind of run. He's a freak show when it comes to his profile. I don't know what his height is. I want to say he's like 6'3", maybe.
He's longer than that.
Maybe longer than, but you think he's shorter because of what he can do in the slot. He's a guy who can run everywhere. He's a 3, all 3 levels, just like kind of Brian Thomas Jr. was last year. Brian Thomas Jr. did not have the same sort of tape to me, though. Like, I looked at Brian Thomas Jr. last year and I saw a guy that wasn't really adept at running intermediate routes, and it's something he had to work on really in the off season leading into his rookie season. And he, whoa, I was not expecting that. So, but Tet kind of already has that in his bag. And you said the separation numbers could be in question when he's playing higher level talent in the NFL. So I'm thinking it might be a bit of a learning curve for him. Just, some of those nuances that these, veteran cornerbacks, he's going to have to sort of crack those codes. But a guy with his skill set, man, I mean, it's going to, I don't know, third of a season before he's really starting to kind of weigh on these guys, these smaller cornerbacks that, every cornerback he goes up against is going to be smaller than him. Basically, he's a freak show. And yeah, 1,000 yards is, I don't know. It feels pretty, I feel like that's almost like a slam dunk to me for him.
Yeah, I think what happened and what we needed to happen with BTJ was him to show something beyond what he was in college. If Ted is just the same guy, I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think there needs to be some magic Animorphs happening where he turns into something different than what he already was. And I don't know, man. I just get a lot of Drake London vibes out of Ted. Same division, close to the same size, West Coast wide receiver. That I don't know if anybody ever questioned. Well, people did question Drake London's ability to separate, but they were just like, oh, he's so physical and so big and he'll just win those balls no matter what. And I don't know if it's because Tet's, Samoan or whatever he is and played volleyball and people just think he's assume he's soft, but I don't know. He feels exactly like Drake London to me. And it feels kind of foolish not to pencil him in for 85 plus catches. And their main offensive weapon when they need a first down. So I think it's a really good bet. Okay. You can do second one, Chuck?
So the other guy on my list is George Pickens, who is a guy that I have historically avoided, but dropped into the situation that he finds himself in now, playing in what is projected to be one of the highest volume passing offenses in the league, with an absolute void after CeeDee Lamb. I think he could easily finish as a very high-end wide receiver 2, maybe even a back-end wide receiver 1 if the touchdowns break his way. I think George Pickens is just in a perfect situation this year, and I'm fine drafting him ahead of ADP. I'm also in on Dak. I'm in on all of the Cowboys pass catchers this year.
Yeah,
please, Mike, talk about your favorite person.
Yeah, contract year for George Pickens. I don't know if the Cowboys are gonna screw his head on right and make him not such a fucking weirdo. I don't know if anybody can, except for the ability to force multiply your future earnings in 1 year in a really good offense. That if you just are along for the ride, bud, you can have 10 touchdowns and 80 catches and be on one of the better offenses at least passing offenses in football. We'll see how the offense as a whole rounds out. But he makes my list as well. Or I didn't put him technically on my list, I guess, because I didn't want to copy you once I saw yours, but he would be on my list as well. It's a dude I'm drafting a lot of in that space because that is that weird, I don't want to call it a dead zone, but that uncomfortable, little funky wide receiver space down there. How you feel about him, Fitz?
I mean, sure. I mean, I don't see any reason why he's not going to come away with. It's more honestly touchdowns. I feel like he's such a red zone threat when you talk about Dallas, and like they're just going to throw the shit out of the ball, and they already got a guy who's going to take away plenty. He's almost never going to have overloaded coverage on his side. So yeah, I mean, he's a slam dunk probably for 8 touchdown catches, easy to me, barring injury, and probably right around that, 1,000 yard range. And I mean, he's not a huge volume guy. He hasn't been in his past, but I feel like he's a big play waiting to happen. He's not going to be on my guys list ever because he's George Pickens, and I've just never liked him. Maybe as he's kind of sort of bordering that all shithead team that you've liked to talk about over the past years. But yeah, it's a good fit. Yeah, it's a good fit. And instead of having a 3-headed monster, you got kind of a 2-headed monster. I do like the tight end for the Cowboys this year, but I'm still, I'm on board with Pickens. And one of those guys I sort of had to come around and I started thinking about it. Was like, they're going to throw as much as just about any team in the NFL, maybe this side of Cincinnati.
And in this range, there honestly aren't that many fun picks. At least for wide receiver. If you're trying to tack on your wide receiver 3 or 4, God forbid you're still taking your second wide receiver. Terry McLaurin currently not really participating in football. Devontae Adams might have Jimmy Garoppolo throwing the ball there for a long time until Stafford showed up to practice the other day. DK Metcalf, George Pickens, DJ Moore, who we'll touch on here in a minute, and Devonta Smith, who I guess Fitz has more faith in than me. So I'll go ahead and let you jump in. If you want to start with Devonta Smith, we can work backwards if that's all right.
Sure. Yeah, just the volume. I can't imagine. And that's another reason I have AJ Brown on there. I have both of them on there. I had Devonta last year on one of my teams, and I loved it. He's a big play guy, really, but he can do all the intermediate. He can, he's that 3-level guy. They just hadn't thrown much last year, but considering their schedule flip this year is kind of be a little bit tougher, and makes you think they're going to be in games where they may be behind more, or tight games where they can't just shove the ball down teams' throats with Saquon. I think, was it 32 targets? This is what AJ Brown got in second half of games last year, which is incredible. Like a really mind-boggling stat. I just feel he's going to have to open up a little bit more this year, and he seems to be a huge beneficiary of that. I love him, and they're only throwing to 2 guys in that offense, so that's why I like him where he's going. He's safe to me. I'm not sure he's a league-winning, like blow up, 15 touchdown kind of guy, but you don't need it at that position. I don't know what you guys think about Devonta, but he's an easy click for me at that spot.
I don't really find myself taking him in that range, because that's kind of like I don't know. I feel like there's a teardrop before that. I feel like to me, and I'm always getting that, and then deciding if I want to get that elite quarterback or that fun tight end, or do I want to get one of these fun running backs that kind of get down there. So I don't know how much I'll own. I don't know. Might be very slim on my Devonta exposure this year.
Fitz, one of the interesting things that you're saying with both of these flag plants is that the Eagles are highly likely to pass much more than they did last year. They could easily have 100 to 150 more pass attempts as compared to 2024, when they had one of the lowest pass rates over expectation. And that is going to drag along AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, maybe even Dallas Goedert, but definitely Jalen Hurts. And I think when we start talking about quarterbacks here in a minute, like, he's kind of the last of the elite QB tier. and he's going as number 4, but he could easily finish, number 2, number 1. And I think that's just an inefficiency in the pricing right now.
Yeah, and another reason I have, it's just another tiebreaker when you're looking at who you're going to put at RB1. Just maybe slightly less Saquon, and he's not known as a pass catcher. But yeah, I'm glad at least you see that, and I hope that comes to fruition with these guys, because I'm trying to get, if I'm not getting Drake London, I'm trying to draft AJ Brown. But if I miss out on him, yeah, like Devonta Smith is automatic for me.
Yeah, so dive into Drake London, because I have him as well. So I got your back here.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting projected as like the number 3 in targets behind Chase and Lamb. There's really no other, like Darnell Mooney is the number 2 on that roster. He's an absolute red zone machine. He had 14 end zone targets last year, number 1 in the NFL. With the volume, he had 24 total in the red zone. Like Mooney had 1 end zone target last year and only 6 in the red zone. His target share with Penix was almost 40 in his 3 starts. Small sample size, but who else is, I mean, nobody else is really catching balls, not only in that offense, but what other receivers really getting that kind of work in the NFL? I mean, you're looking at maybe CeeDee Lamb, obviously Justin Jefferson, but even Jamar Chase has competition in the wide receiver backfield, and London's price has been creeping up. I think people are catching on to this. I have 7 right now amongst wide receivers, but I could easily have him at 5, even potentially 4. Like I love him that much, and he is definitely a guy I'm planting my flag on this year. And I kind of came in here thinking that you guys both might have him on there. I didn't see Chuck have him, but I imagine he probably considered it.
Oh yeah, he was definitely on the fringe for me. I love where he's going. He's kind of going right at the end of this pocket that includes Neighbors, Amon-Ra, Nico, Brian Thomas, Puka. And I don't know that I would push him above any of those guys, but I think he is right there with them.
Yeah, it feels like just a super obvious path to an incredible amount of targets from a quarterback who I mean, bare minimum, we're assuming he's going to perform better than Kirk Cousins last year. So, Michael Penix, I'm not certain what he is. Like, I don't know if he's the next coming of Tom Brady or some shit, but it was fun last year whenever he started. Seemed like they got some juice and they had some fun whenever he played. So, is it 170 targets for Drake London? Is it a 30% target share? I don't know, but it seems like the obvious thing to do if you're trying to win football games with the Falcons right now. It seems like your easiest path to victory. Because that is, I mean, he's a dominant outside receiver that can handle that workload. So if you overutilize he and Bijan the entire season and you have your best year in a while, and Penix is just fine, I think Drake London can pay off pretty big as the last guy on that kind of tier of elite wide receivers that you can convince yourself are going to be a wide receiver 1. So he's on my list as well. So big enthusiasm there, and they only throw to him in practice. Like, he's the only player that ever catches a ball. So it's pretty fun at this point.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of both are all going to be like draft Drake London. It might be the last thing we say. I already kind of went into AJ Brown. I don't really need to go too into that. He's rock solid. He's still in the prime of his career. Barring as long as he stays healthy, I have absolutely no hesitation. If it's kind of, honestly, I'm like back and forth between he and London, but I'm taking London over him now. I've put London over him in the last week or so, and then AJ Brown just totally fine to me. Do you guys have any issues with AJ?
I think he's a little banged up right now.
Yeah, hammy.
That might be it. And I don't know. I think he's fine. I think it's just, I think it's totally fine. It doesn't super excite me. And I feel like he was having some friction with the team as a whole end of last year. But they also won't be up by 21 in every second half again. So
JSN. JSN's just he can do everything. He can run out of any part of the offensive backfield you wanted to. In terms of a receiver, he can run out of the slot, and he's going to get to prove it. He can, really be that true number one with DK Metcalf gone. He's sort of the prototypical like modern day receiver to me. I know we've had some love fest from him since he entered the league, and I doubled down on him last year and feel like I got proven right. And this is his year to shine. Again, we talked about the offensive line issues, and they got Sam Darnold throwing, but look, it was Geno Smith before, and he put up really good numbers last year. I do like having Kubiak be the play caller in this offense, and I think he's going to be the focal point of that, not just the passing game, but the offense as a whole. So that's where that tier ends. Him and then McConkey as the top 12 receivers. Jackson Smith and Jigba still fits in that for me. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but I'm totally in on him.
It does feel weird that he's that high, but I just went and looked at his numbers and I was like, God damn, yeah. 137 targets and 100 receptions. I think the targets could go up. Like, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't. Besides, I don't know if maybe they get drunk on Cooper Kupp for a little bit there, but I think it could be more. The touchdowns, I don't think are ever going to be high because he's just, a smaller stature dude. But that's the cost of a guy that's guaranteed 100 catches as a wide receiver. I think is third round. It feels weird, but I should probably start coming around to it pretty quickly.
I love JSN. The only thing that gives me just a half second of pause is just what's around him. That offense feels a little fragile with the weak offensive line, and now you're asking Sam Darnold to be who he was last year, but in a very different, much more fragile system. And I think the quarterback downgrade from Geno to Darnold will show up at some point this year.
If Milroe starts at any point, I think that is that's anthrax for JSN.
That's not good. Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. Chuck and I saw what a Jalen Milroe shit show can look like when he came to Norman last year, and they put up a whopping 3 points. It was embarrassing, and it was a red flag game for Milroe. So when they got drafted in the third round, I'm like, did they watch that game? Maybe they have different plans. Maybe he's going to be Cordell Stewart. I don't know what he's going to do, but yeah, that was puzzling for me.
It all seems kind of Fugazi with the Seahawks. I don't know why. I just don't feel good about any of it. And that drags down JSN in my perception when it probably shouldn't. It all just feels like paper mache. Like, I don't know why. I don't feel good about anything in Seattle.
Maybe they'll be trailing all year.
That'd be great.
And they have to air it out. Cortland Sutton was probably my least confident one on this one, just because there seems to be a fair amount of weapons to go to in that offense. But I do like the offensive line, and I like the fact that he is the bona fide wide receiver one in a Sean Payton offense. And he showed up last year, and I feel like it's gonna. Maybe he won't repeat the touchdown output that he has the last season, but I love his talent. I always have. I've always bet on him. I think they're going to be a really good team this year. So, and again, I think they're going to run the ball a lot. But I think his quality of touches are going to be very high. And I like this little pocket that he's going in. His ADP is about as capped out though as I want it to be. But I do find myself clicking his name when I'm doing these mock drafts, and I'm not saying he's gonna, I'm not drafting him in every league, but I still like him as a pretty safe later round wide receiver 2 or 3.
He is a guy that I came around to late in draft season last year, and it was way more fun when he was. I feel like he was going like 7th, 8th round last year, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what everyone's missing besides just, I don't know, the Broncos aren't going to score a single touchdown all year. 5'10" is where he's going this year, and I think that's fine. I'd like to take a stand on some guys in this range. And that Worthy, Sutton, I actually like all these 5 dudes. I like Worthy, Sutton, Zay Flowers, Tet, and Jameson. So I definitely want one of them. If you are doing a tier system and Cortland Sutton's the last one on your tier, and it's get this one or miss out on the boat. I've done it a couple times. So no issues with Cortland Sutton there.
Chuck, you like him?
I like him a lot. I think the two arguments that if I was forced to poke some holes in there is one you already mentioned was the negative touchdown regression, and the other is just I kind of like the guys that go around him just a little bit more, just because I can tell myself an exciting story of like they're going to be better than they were last year, and that includes guys like Worthy, Pickens, and Jameson.
Yeah, not a huge Worthy guy this year, but I am a big Travis Hunter guy, as we established in the first part of it. Like, it doesn't take much to sell really anybody watching this that Travis Hunter could be, I think, a league winner at his cap. Like, I think he's got that kind of potential, considering the offense that he's going in. I'm just like, close your eyes and just think about Chris Godwin last year in this same offense. He can run the same sort of routes that Godwin was doing, and he's a better athlete than Godwin. And he's got a big time receiver that we saw last year in Brian Thomas Jr. on the other side. And less, I think, at least this point in his career, less to take him away from on the other side of the ball. We don't really know how they're going to use him on defense. But yeah, everybody knows the upside. I don't really have to go too deep into it. He's certainly a fun one to call out, but I actually really believe that he could flip your team, is if he can get that offense down. So 6th round Travis Hunter, to me, if you've already got at least one established, hopefully 2 established receivers, feels right.
He's the perfect guy to draft in your flex because for all the reasons you just said, he could be someone that is a league winner. He's on the short list of guys that could be one of the 5 guys that you need this year. And I don't think this is necessarily likely, but he could end up being the alpha receiver in his offense. He had a sterling reception perception grade, and he's just the closest thing we have to Shohei Ohtani in football. And like, I want unicorns like that on my team.
I think you're always trying to do yourself some favors and give yourself this edge on your roster that, it doesn't always work out. And sometimes there's small misses or even like medium-sized misses. But whenever it's in the formula or in the path of trying to get a nuclear hit, I think y'all know how I play this game. I'll do that every single time. Give me the edge on everybody if I show up to the playoffs with Travis Hunter at full speed and he's my wide receiver 4, and I got him where he's currently going right now, which is a lot of the reason why he's one of the dudes that's like in that rookie stack that I talk about. That is, explain to me how this doesn't work out. Okay. I see that little slim chance down there. That's fine. I also see this big chunk of the pie in which you are scared to death because I have Travis Hunter where I got him, and he's my 3rd or 4th best wide receiver.
Where do you guys see him going right now? I'm trying to track it here.
He is
behind
74.2 at 6'12", so you might get him in the 7th round.
Damn, that feels more than right. Yeah, I mean, I'd seen him 6 rounds. So I don't know if he's fallen recently, but he's kind of nicked up. Maybe that kind of dropped him a little bit, but it didn't look like it was very serious.
I mean, 2 picks in front of Rome Odunze,
all
4
day.
picks after Calvin Ridley, like Rashee Rice is right there. I mean, yeah, if I'm thinking about what my team actually needs and what can change it, it's pretty simple decision.
Not a guy I would have maybe a month ago expected to have on this list, but I've sort of kind of changed my tune on this guy. Is Matthew Golden. You know, he came into Texas from Houston, had 1 year to figure out Sark's system, and he did it. Again, amongst a ton of receivers to fight through, he still put up some pretty darn good numbers. But he's not that alpha kind of guy, but I really feel like he's going to fit that Green Bay system really well. And when you have Christian Watson dinged up, he's a guy who can adapt to a system fast. That's why I mentioned that the whole transfer. He went to Texas 1 year. Now he's going to Green Bay as a rookie. He's a quick learner, an incredible route runner, great hands, super fast. He's not that sort of your traditional wide receiver 1, but you don't need him to be that in that Green Bay system. And I think he could really, really surprise a lot of people that are expecting Jaden Reed. I know he's very talented too, but Matthew Golden is, I'm like, wow. I remember him being really good at Houston, and he stuck out like a sore thumb to me. And when he was doing that against Texas's secondary as a junior, or maybe he was even a sophomore, I'm like, I want to keep my eye on this kid. And yeah, I didn't think he was worth a first round pick, but now I see it, and I see how LaFleur might want to use him, and they went up and got him, and I'm buying on him this year before his price is like a third round next year.
Every year, there's always one rookie first round receiver. Rookie that was drafted in the first round that for some reason gets undervalued by the market. Last year it was Brian Thomas. This year it's Matthew Golden. And you don't even have to love Matthew Golden, the player, to realize that, like, if you place your chips on that kind of bet, more often than not, you're going to get paid off. And so I like Matthew Golden a lot this year.
Yeah, looking at the range he goes in, which is 102.8, which is 903 right now. Yeah, if I'm not taking Addison, if I haven't worked myself into an Addison situation, like Golden over Jawan Jennings, Golden over Cooper Kupp, Golden over Khalil Shakir, Golden over Jaden Reed, Golden over Michael Pittman, like Golden over probably Stephon Diggs and Jerry Jeudy and Jacoby Myers. Like, that feels better to me. I haven't had a ton of opportunity to take him as of yet, but I probably need to get more exposure before drafting season closes.
I got him right behind Jacoby Myers. I got him an unofficial list, but I have him at like 25. Maybe probably have him a little lower than that if I redid this, if I updated it. But yeah, probably top 30 for me. I think he's going to pop. And then it looks like we have a double up here, Mike, on Ricky.
We do.
You want to go ahead and talk about him?
Yeah, I just the 49ers are projected to win a lot of games. The 49ers are going to be without Brandon Ayuk. There are weeks in there. I love George Kittle to death. There are weeks in there in which George Kittle does not show up to play offensive football on the stat sheet outside of just blocking the living shit out of people. Christian McCaffrey is not a guarantee any year, any week, at any point. Who the fuck is catching the ball for the 49ers? This team that's projected to win 9 or 10 games? Maybe it's the guy they took in the first round last year that had like the most horrific rookie season ever because he got shot and then injured. Like, I'm not going crazy on Ricky Pearsall. I'm not like drafting him ahead of ADP necessarily and just like reaching beyond all reaches on him. But where the fuck is he going? 82 points, so 707. Man, I've seen the Kyle Shanahan offense movie, and They're going to score points. Brock Purdy's good enough. They're going to move the chains. I want to whatever the funnel's pointing towards on the 49ers offense. Some years it's super confusing and we talk ourselves into all kinds of bullshit. The Ayuk in the third or fourth or something. This one looks pretty simple. It looks like
I believe. Go ahead.
It looks like the dude that you want to have as your wide receiver 4 to round off a really good room. And there's upside there. Obviously, you can't stack too many of these dudes together. Like, if you're making the Pearsall bet, I wouldn't do a bunch of other slappy bets, but I think there's way more upside than he's getting credit for.
His 1 week trend on Fantasy Pros is 19.5 draft spots. So the helium is happening. Yeah, we're not alone.
Yeah,
but it still looks.
Now.
Yeah, it looks reasonable to me. Yeah, I don't know if I want him getting in that 6th round range. That's not what I'm here for. But keep it back into the 7th, early 8th. Again, these are only the most recent drafts, so I don't know how many home league drafts are going to have him in the 7th round. But if he's sitting there in the 8th round, yes.
Yeah, there's some closing line. You probably wanted your Ricky Pearsall earlier than whatever is about to happen. But again, like I said, like guys that rise late usually don't rise fast enough or far enough. You're looking at it going like, what the fuck's a 7th round pick matter between that and a 6th? You know what I mean? Like, cool. I'm fighting myself in between where's he going? 707 and 8, whatever my 8th round pick is, and I'm gonna split those hairs and like drive myself insane and not get the guy I like because he rose too far. Like, this is silly.
When you look back at your teams at the end of the year, you go back, like now you're looking back at last year's teams. The one thing you always come back to in a draft is, did I draft the right guys? Some of this, all these hoops we jump around about team build and how we're, what direction we were taking our fantasy drafts in. At the end of the day, if you pick the good players, you pick the right players, that's how you win. I mean, honestly, that all these things we try to overanalyze, just about picking the right guys. Like if you pick if you reach and grab a guy that kicks ass, but he reached 3 rounds early, you're not going to hate it. You're going to look. Your team's going to be great. It's all about picking the right guys.
Yeah, and just having access to the wide receiver 1 in a 49ers Kyle Shanahan offense. I don't know if it'll ever be cheaper.
If that's what he is, again, Juwan Jennings is on the. He's
holding out. More than holding in too.
Yeah, and he's got a quote unquote calf issue, which is kind of scary. Fake. It's scary on print, but he had the same exact thing last year and he was fine. It's something apparently he's dealt with, and it may have just something he just listed so he could just mark it off as negotiation tactics. But he's the one reason why Pearsall's not going higher. I think it's because Juwan Jennings is on the field for more than just pass catching, and Ricky Pearsall really doesn't do anything else but that. He's not going to get on the field, to run block or be a decoy, and then all of a sudden they're rolling out and they're faking. And throwing to Pearsall. Like, he's going to be off the field at certain moments, but as a prospect though, he feels great. He feels like a guy that you should have on your team. Like you said, as a 4th receiver. Yes. Chuck, do you have any thoughts on Ricky?
Yeah, I think there's some question as to like how good of a receiver he actually is, because he wasn't somebody that really splashed in college. He wasn't thought of as this like can't miss prospect, but you guys said it. Where else is the ball going to?
Yeah, and there's just been like he's one of those drumbeat guys, and just kind of like the flame just keeps getting like higher. Of he looks great. Yeah, he's a former 1st round pick. Yeah, the opportunity is there. Yeah, I think it's a team that's going to like score enough points and have enough drives and get enough first downs to sustain it. And it all just is kind of like adding up to the only thing that is in the way of this guy being a higher pick right now, like a 5th round pick right now, is just that he hasn't done it previously.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know he hasn't, because I'd have to take him I would have to take him like in the 3rd or 4th. I get it. But part of this game is projection. It is being able to see the situation and the guy and say, like, that one's primed to do it. So it doesn't get more complicated than that at some points, of just like good ass player on a good offense that's about to get a pretty good target share. And maybe he's always hurt guy, and maybe that offense just isn't very good, or maybe George Kittle gets twice as many targets as he's ever had in his life, or Jawan Jennings is the real deal. These are all legit questions and complications, but all of those I feel pretty good betting against at this point. So I like Pearsall. He's obviously on my list, so I'll scroll down and reveal the rest of my dudes. Don't got to spend a ton of time on some of these, but Drake London we talked about, just fucking beast that's going to get 40% of their targets or whatever from improved quarterback play on an offense that I think is going to be much better. Tet we talked about, seems obvious, silly. He's going where he is. I'll follow up my 49ers question with who the fuck is catching the football for the Commanders? Zach Ertz?
God.
Austin Eckler?
Yeah. It's going to be
Like,
Terry McLaurin, I think.
I think so. Like, but are you really? I mean, he waited till he had a however many touchdown season to demand a new contract, and now he's over. I think he's 30. He's getting up there. Are you gonna give Terry McLaurin a long-term contract? Like, he's just super disappointing. He's been super disappointing overall. Like, just like fine.
What was the number like that he guaranteed wanted? Was it 60? Was it that high?
I don't know.
It was something insane. Yeah.
He's just too old to get a long-term contract like that to make that money make sense. And he just, you had one good year. Cool. Would love to see you do it again. And I don't know. There are plenty of excuses around Debo if you want to hear the the bin of excuses of having pneumonia last year and just all that shit. And I think just giving Cliff Kingsbury a toy that is a human tank and Debo Samuel will be really fun, and see what they can do with him and Jaden Daniels. Maybe he gets some of his swag back and starts playing like Debo again, and has that one good last year.
There's some people that are just like, no, fuck that guy because he fucked my team last year. You know how that is.
I feel that. that,
and that's an opportunity for us. When a good player has a down year and people swear off of him, that's a buying opportunity.
Yeah. What's his ADP here?
Debo's going pretty late, dude. No one's really feeling the vibes as of yet. 805, so 89.9. 8th round, middle of the 8th round. But rising.
Yes.
Yeah, it's come up 7.5 spots in whatever time frame this is. I'm a Debo guy. Like, I feel like I've done every 3 cycles around the sun with him, where it's like, I'm in. Fuck you. Fuck me over. I'm in again. And then he fucks me over again. And then, ready to be hurt again. Pearsall, we just talked about. Emeka Egbuka, I don't know what it's going to be this year, but dude, they won't shut up. They love this dude. They absolutely love him. He's a good enough prospect. A lot of the stuff around the periphery, around his advanced stats and who he played with and teammate score and all that type of shit is like off the charts. And just, I don't know. Every once in a while, you just got to be like, good ass football player that everyone loves. And the drumbeat on him just seems like everybody wants him to work out and wants to get him the ball and wants him to have a phenomenal rookie season because he is that kind of guy. So Pretty
Speaking of
psyched on
faster,
that Goka.
yeah, big time faster. 11.7 in the last week. He's basically a full round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's screaming up the board.
And McMillan's hurt, as we mentioned in the intro podcast.
And Godwin's going to be out for at least the first month of the season, probably more. Mike Evans is 31. He's another like perfect marriage of where the hell else is the ball going to go, and oh, this guy's really good, and they won't shut up about him.
Mm-hmm.
He honestly probably should have been a my guy too.
Threw Keon Coleman in here just out of curiosity because he's pretty free. 11th round, middle of the 11th round, 130th overall. I mean, they have to get a legit passing offense at some point, right? That isn't just bullshit Khalil Shakir fucking 5-yard option routes and Dawson Knox bullshit and get into James Cook. Like eventually they're going to have to play like an NFL team, I think. And with Khalil Shakir out with the high ankle sprain and Kincaid, whatever's going on with him, man, I just think they owe it to themselves to like see what they have in Keon Coleman and just drown him with targets and red zone threats and all the stuff that he is built to do. Yeah, and if it was any pricier, I'd say no.
Yeah, he was really raw coming out, but you could see the flashes coming out of Florida State. And I remember looking at him, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be this year. This is last year thinking this, and I'm like, but at some point the light bulb's going to go off. And I think I had him in one league last year, but I was very I kind of really wanted to pay attention to how he was progressing in the offseason, and they seem to really kind of talk about not shutting up about a guy. They're again, watching Hard Knocks will make you really pay attention to a guy, but some other people are aware of him being there. But they went and got Josh Palmer, and it almost feels like a smokescreen to me that they have the second-year rookie that they invested a decent amount of draft capital in. Yeah, dude, I love this call, and he's probably going to come up later in another topic that you threw out to us. But yeah, no, I'm in on him, and when you look at a rookie and you like him, you always like, even if he doesn't do anything his rookie year, you kind of want to be like, that's my guy. I'm going to watch him. I'm going to see this through his second year. So I will probably have him on my the next draft that I do.
Yeah, I just want to be along for the ride, see where it goes. It's kind of a free adventure for you. Jaden Higgins is a part of that rookie wide receiver, just rookie group in general, where I'm like, maybe the Texans are really bad at drafting and they don't know what they're doing in the second round. Maybe he's worth that draft slot. He's a big fucker that can play outside with CJ Stroud, and that offense is a little bit juiced up now, at least through the passing game. I don't know if you heard, Joe Mixon's out. They're not going to have a running game that's worth a shit. Nico Collins misses games. I do love Nico Collins to my core. He misses games consistently. And Jaden Higgins, not that he's going to duplicate what Nico did or be a Nico clone. I just think a second-round wide receiver that has that size, that has that quarterback with that kind of pedigree, and has proven he can do some shit that's pretty nice. And it's really late too, man. It is 13:04, 13th round. Give me Jaden Higgins every single time. It makes me feel so much better about my entire wide receiver room.
Chuck?
The only thing I would say about him is I wish that he had a little more positive drum beats. He has not yet seized the job opposite Nico. The only thing that holds me back from Jaden Higgins a little bit is I think Christian Kirk is going to be a PPR scam this year. And so if I don't get Jaden Higgins, I'm not feeling super bad about it, but he was a guy that I was heavily drafting in rookie drafts in the middle of the second round, all throughout, rookie dynasty season.
Yeah, I watched this tape today actually, and he almost gives me a little bit of those Keon Coleman vibes, where I'm definitely paying attention to him this year. Not sure the light bulb's going to go off super fast for him. he seems to be kind of one of those guys who can win one-on-one balls. I don't know if he's got the skill set to ever be a true elite receiver, but that's not really how they're drafting him. So it seems like a weird fit to me in that offense. But like you said, if Nico's missing time, then all of a sudden it's a perfect kind of fit. At least to fill some gaps there while Nico's gone, because you kind of just expect it at this point with Nico. And they're going to be throwing the shit out of the ball. Obviously, they're going to be down probably a lot this year, and they have a shitty offensive line. So they're not going to be keen on running the ball with what they have in that backfield, especially if Mixon's going to be banged up with a NFL non-football injury, as you mentioned, Mike. I haven't seen any reports about when he might come back. I just haven't heard anything positive come out yet. So, yeah, it just seems like that they're just going to be dropping back and throwing a ton this year. And I would imagine, Stroud will probably have top 3 most attempts at quarterbacks if he stays healthy.
Yeah, and when a guy that wasn't necessarily projected to go that high, I mean, they took him it was like second pick of the second round or something like that. Like, he went pretty high. When a guy that wasn't necessarily on most mocks that high, when he has that like draft capital delta, it makes me think like they're either like super committed to making this guy work because they have to be, because it is a reach that you're like, this is going to work, or you have like a big plan for him, right? Because rationally, you could have gotten him later. I didn't see anybody having Jaden Higgins like top 35 kind of pick going into the draft. But I don't know. I'd still have some hope that there is some magic left in the Texans and CJ Stroud, at least passing game, because he was just so fucking good. And then PFF Bobby got a hold of him for a season, and DeMeco Ryans was just hell-bent on setting up 55-yard field goals like until the end of time, and they were ridiculous last year. And that might be the offensive line thing, and that doesn't get fixed, but I don't know. I have some hope that CJ Stroud is that guy that he showed us. And if he is, then he lifts all boats and Jaden Higgins comes along. Maybe he's the Tank Dell from 2 years ago, So final guy, love him or hate him, I don't know how people feel about Luther Burden right now, but he's a 14th round pick, middle of the 14th round. It's just pretty free. And the thesis here is that the Bears took Rome Odunze last year in the first round. The Bears took Luther Burden this year in the second round. The Bears took Colston Loveland this year in the first round. They have a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new offensive line, basically. One of those decisions is telling me that they desperately want to stop giving the ball to DJ Moore. Like, they just want to fucking do anything but give the ball to DJ Moore at this point in history. And they're going to be a better offense. I think Caleb looked really, really sharp in that preseason game. And if that's all it takes, is just him being like a top 20 NFL quarterback, and this thing starts humming a little bit, and everyone's really under the microscope, or really microscopically kind of like dissecting Luther Burden in every comment that comes out about him and all this stuff. But I mean, he's a great football player, and has had the pedigree for a while. I think got a little bored his senior year, or whatever it was, junior year with Missouri, and it got a little weird. But I mean, he's just a get the ball in his hands kind of guy and fucking go crazy. And Ben, what's his ass from the Lions, the new
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson. Yeah, I thought I was saying Ben Johnson. I was like, that's too generic of a name. That can't be his name. Yeah, Ben Johnson's gonna figure out, you know what, this guy can he's got some wiggle to him. I gotta like scheme shit open for like Rome, and not that I dislike Rome, but I can just do easy button shit with Luther Burden. Okay, let's do some more of that. And it's 14th round, so
I mean,
I don't know.
The guy was the guy was a 5-star recruit. Everybody in the country wanted him, and he was, number 3 overall player, number 1 receiver in the country, and Missouri got him. So it sort of flew under the radar for a long time. But he is that alpha, all 3 levels kind of guy. He can do everything. You mentioned it. Like, I don't know what happened in that last year at Missouri. I'm guessing defenses tried to catch up and make them throw to Theo Weiss, who's also in the NFL right now. It was kind of weird because I expected him to be on every All-American team, and then it just didn't. Last year didn't pan out, and his draft stock slid. Makes you question it a little bit. What was really the problem there? Scouts will see if teams were overcompensating their defense just to stop him, but it affected his draft status. So maybe the Bears capitalize on they got a steal potentially in the draft. But yeah, it's just so many mouths to feed in Chicago. That's why his fantasy draft capital is so low. And God, I don't know if I can really envision Luther Burden popping off this year. But I mean, God, it'd be great to see. I mean, when you told me before, I thought he was a slam dunk, top end, like first 2 or 3 receivers off the board. If you'd asked me this 2 years ago.
He's the perfect cherry on top of your wide receiver room, and you don't have to take him highly. He's going after pick 140 on all the major platforms. You've already talked about his elite prospect profile. Yeah, he had a weird senior season, but he broke out early, and he was handpicked by the new regime in the early part of the second. So I'd love drafting Luther Burden at his cost, because the worst case scenario is you can drop him. But the best case scenario is he's a fantasy playoff league winner.
Awesome. Okay, let's move on to our card flip, guys, if that's all right, if everybody's ready for that. And I am going to kick it to Chuck first. If you could see the stats for one player right now, their end of season stats right now at the wide receiver position, that would unlock almost everything else for you. Where are you going?
I mean, the easy answer is Travis Hunter, because that's the only thing that's holding his draft capital down is how much is he going to play receiver? How many targets is he going to get? And if I get to see that, then I know kind of how everything else went in Jacksonville. And as close as he is to being a flag plant, my guy for me, I think he's the number one that I want to see what those end of year numbers look like.
Who's you got, Fitz?
Yeah, I mean, it probably would have been him, but we talked so much about him. My guy was Tyreek Hill.
Like, it's a good one.
Like, to me, it's just kind of high variance. Like, is his career done, or is he going to revert to the guy that a guy in my auction league, out of his $1,000, he spent $350 on him last year. And this same guy, believe it or not, still spent like I think it was 240 of his $1,000 this year. Way too high, but they have the easiest pass schedule in the NFL, and Tua was hurt a little bit last year, shocker, and their offensive line was dinged up. And I'm just trying to throw out the reasons why it could be he could just revert back to who he was. And I know Matt Harmon, I'm sure you guys have probably heard, just thinks he's done and reception perception, and then there's the excuse that he had the wrist injury. So which is it? I don't know, but I think that the safe thing that people are doing is, well, if he's not 1 and he's not 30, let's just put him somewhere in the middle, and we'll just see how it plays out, and we won't be too wrong or too right.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't slurped the Dipperino on Tyreek Hill a little bit over the last 6 months or so. Like, someone offered me, hey, give me a late second for Tyreek Hill, and I'm like, yeah, that seems like a pretty fun bet. Let's do it. So I got him a bunch of dynasty teams, and I might be holding an empty bag here in a couple months, but that's fine. I'll deal with that in my own time. Marvin Harrison Jr. would be a fun one to flip the card on. That one would be super fun. I'd like to see the Marv stats, because that would shift a lot of stuff. I want to take him like ahead of Mike Evans and Tyreek and maybe T. Higgins in some scenarios, but I'm a scaredy cat. The other guy, I mean, Pickens would be super interesting too. But J-Mo, I would love to see Jameson Williams end of season stats right now. That'd be that iron out a lot for me, I think.
Yeah, how many guys would that unpack?
Yeah. That'd fix some scenarios for me. Okay. If you could preload one guy in your roster that's going outside the top 100, a little bit of drafting in reverse, who's your guy that you would preload from the wide receiver position? Let's go with Michael Charles Perry.
I mean, I think I've already tipped my hand on this one. My real answer would be Luther Burden, but if I'm going to give, a better or a different answer, it's probably Christian Kirk, because I want to know how did that shake out? Like, because if he has, 800 to 1200 yards, 1200 is probably too much. Then the Texans are probably doing something, and then there's value around that, and that pie is bigger than it might look right now. So I think it's probably Christian Kirk for me.
Mine's not terribly exciting. We just talked about him, but just because I really want to know if I was right 2 years ago, it's Keon Coleman. Just and would tell you what's going on with that Buffalo offense, because there's just there doesn't seem to be I don't know, Khalil Shakur's ceiling is very capped, and Keon Coleman just seems to be that guy that could break out. If they, he hasn't had since Diggs, there hasn't really been a wide receiver that stood out where you're really wanting to draft a guy, and I want him to be that guy. Dalton Kincaid, we thought might have been that guy coming in the last year, and he just kind of was a dud. And like you mentioned, how was Dawson Knox all of a sudden back to where he was? It was just the weirdest shit. And so, but if Keon Coleman is blowing up, it unlocks so much for Josh Allen. And if he doesn't, then it's kind of back to the same old shit.
Yeah, if I could preload Matthew Golden at cost or Josh Downs at cost on every roster, then I would automatically just a little safety blanket on my wide receiver room. That'd be fun. I'd feel better about all of my teams if those guys at their exact ADP just landed there, which they never do. Or Downs does now that he's hurt. But for the longest time, there's always a guy that would reach a little bit on Downs and not let him slide. And then Golden, kind of the same. There's at least one believer in each room, or your rando Packers fan. So awesome. Well, that's our wide receiver preview. I guess if you want to hit on any dudes that we're just straight up avoiding.
That whole Indianapolis Colts.
Every Colt.
Every time you say Josh Downs, I'm like, oh, he looks talented, great guy. I'm not drafting him in any league.
Yeah, I think DJ Moore is on my avoid, as you can tell. Who else? I mean, it's hard. Olave, I just don't want to be burned by Olave again with the concussions. But Judy, I don't get Jerry Judy. A pick for Jerry Judy is so fucking lame. Like, if you just
okay,
whenever you end up rolling out Jerry Judy,
we haven't talked about some of these high end guys, like the top. We haven't really dug into many of these guys, and I wanted to ask you. I know you guys love Malik Neighbors. What are your feelings about? I mean, I know you love the guy, you love the talent. People are just picking him off like so high. It's just too risky to me to take a guy that's on a offense with a really, I would say the only quarterback in sight would be Jackson Dart. Like if Jackson Dart's playing midseason, sign me up. But Russell Wilson does not seem to be the kind of quarterback that's going to pepper a wide receiver and run pace on an offense where he's going to drop back and throw, or the defensive backfield is going to be, or the front the front guys on the defensive line are going to be in his face the whole game. That's not Russell Wilson's bag, and I have a hard time believing that Neighbors is going to do much more than he did last year.
I think you've already seen the worst case scenario with Malik Neighbors. His quarterback situation was abysmal last year, and he still transcended that. And so him being able to overcome that, where he was the wide receiver one for a decent portion of last year, if anything, I think the only thing that scares me is this foot thing that seems to be lingering. But I have no fears about Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get that many targets and that much opportunity as a rookie just because the quarterback selection of what's going on a certain play. It's the offensive coordinator and the head coach going, throw him the fucking ball like every time he's got individual coverage or every other play is going to him. It's still Dable, right? So I think he's going to get that level of opportunity. Do I believe in Russ? Not really, but I've lived the Russ experience a handful of times now. I think it's like 3 different teams now in which you get to about week 6, and I don't think anybody's going to want to do that anymore. Not that Jackson Dart's going to be that much better, but Neighbors doesn't worry me. I think it's just a sheer one of the rare, very rare, like the talent's there, but also just like the volume is overwhelming. Because I don't know who else you're throwing to. And dude, you know how this works. Like they're going to be down 17 in the third quarter, and no one's going to give a shit if they give away a 70-yard drive to Malik Neighbors. Like it might not make sense on paper, but that's how games work out.
I'm looking at it as, okay, I think he's going sometimes 7th in some of these drafts, maybe even higher. Some of the ones you guys are doing. And I get the PPR appeal for sure. I would pick London over him just because he's getting pretty close to the same amount of volume, but way better quality passes. Like, you know, he's going to get a lot more goal line work than Neighbors is going to be able to get just simply because of the offense. It's going to be better than New York's. It's just, and then plus, you know, defenses will adjust, you know, if that's the only way they can move the ball down the field, well, they'll make them figure something else out. They're going to double them or they're going to bracket them. And, you know, I just want to believe that NFL defenses are smart enough to do that. I just think there is a cap on him. I don't see any world where he's getting 15 touchdowns like a Jamar Chase did last year. And I think some people think he's capable of doing it. I think the talent obviously is there, but he's not sniffing the 7th overall pick for me in any situation.
Yeah, that's a touch high, but I don't know. He's going 12th, 12.4 right now. 12th overall pick feels right. I don't know what else you're gonna do with him. So I don't know. I get your points. I'm just
wanted to just wanted to touch on him because, you know, we haven't talked about these high end guys, and that was one of those. I know you guys love him, and he's just always sitting up there, and it's always just kind of
loved him more last year for sure. Like that was
stealing.
That was free money. Yeah. But I mean, he might get the most targets that anyone's ever gotten in football outside of Megatron. Like that could happen. Like that could, and I would not blame them. Like that is within the realm of like realistic football.
What is the most targets of all time?
I don't know. I got to think Antonio Brown is like a 200 target season, or Megatron is like a 200 plus. But I wouldn't blame him if they targeted him 200 times. I really wouldn't. Like that is a way for you to win football games that you don't have access to otherwise.
So the people that are following along, it's Marvin Harrison, 205.
Nice.
It's achievable. Calvin Johnson, 204. Looks like Julio Jones, 203. Reggie Wayne, 195. He might be in the top 5 next year.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't blame him.
No.
They're all clearly coaching and playing for their jobs and their futures in this league. From the quarterback to the OC to the head coach. They are all playing on borrowed and coaching on borrowed time.
They're all going to get fired. But
yeah. That's more realistic for sure.
Anybody in that top range, you know, I'm just kind of curious that you have any thoughts that somebody's getting way overdrafted.
Let's see.
Where you would tweet.
Not way overdrafted, but like, unfortunately, I think Keenan Allen's signing does impact Ladd McConkey a little bit, not a lot, but just, you know, it might take that top 5% range of his outcomes off the table. Makes me a little nervous. Tyreek Hill is on my do not draft list. I think if there's one person that's likely to have a Antonio Brown take his shirt off, flip the crowd off, and quit at halftime, it might be him this year.
I'm here for that.
I mean, I think we're all looking for the guy that did this, that created the Nico Collins bandwagon and set it on fire and then pushed it down a hill and hit max speed and then jumped off. Man, first round Nico Collins is tough for me. It's really tough for me, dude. Like, I fucking love that dude. I think he's so good. We're going off 1 year in which he only played 12 games and he caught under 70 balls and under 100 targets. I get the yards per reception are insane and the touchdowns were great. I don't know. A high dollar league, something that isn't just fun. I don't think I'll have Nico Collins at that cost. I just won't. It won't happen. It won't happen. I'll take the dudes around him.
He's tempting, but it's same. I'm so close to like being yes, but I can't do it. Just
dude, I'll take Neighbors, BTJ, or Drake London. Probably Puka above him.
Puka's another tough one. Like I get it, but like that the Stafford thing and having Devontae Adams there is just like, yeah, man. I can't see me pulling the trigger there unless he's really falling.
Yeah, and it's not a decision. It's not like a stick your foot in the ground and like pivot kind of decision. It's just like there are guys like right there next to him that are like splitting the hairs on the ADP that are also worth that spot. So it's not like big swerve, big avoid. It's just, dude, Nico Collins in the first round is, and I get it. Whenever you hit that into the first round, you're taking those picks that ADP gets muddy and it doesn't fucking matter which order you go in. But I'm not doing first round Nico Collins. Can't do it.
Where are you guys at on Stephon Diggs? Because I feel like he's another one of those guys that I want to see the end of the year stats because everyone's excited about Drake May. Everyone's expecting the Patriots to take a step forward. How do they do that without Stephon Diggs significantly outproducing his draft cost?
I keep hearing his name come up, and I'm just like, I'm not touching him. I'd rather just get Demario Douglas and ride it out, just because he's old and he had coming off an ACL tear, and didn't help that he was had some footage of him on a boat handing out pink cocaine. Maybe maybe not the most focused guy of all time. Got a question. Maybe his motivation in the off season. It doesn't smell right to me, and I'll take these other receivers. I mean, I get the upside, but it's not enough upside. I feel like I'm just wasting a draft pick at that spot.
Age thing, injury thing, bad offense, bad team overall thing. I don't know what's to gain by taking him in the 8th round. There are other dudes around there that I like more. I don't know. I might find myself in a position where I'm like, oh, I definitely need coming off the ACL is just like so tough, dude. I know he's moving well, but you know how that works. Like you're gonna be 80% of what you were the first year back. Maybe you get all the way back eventually, but he's also fighting age. So I don't know what there is to win by taking him in the 8th. It seems like, I don't know, pretty big swing, minor win.
What are you guys doing with Rashee Rice? He's a tough one.
Liked him, and then the suspension stuff, the new hearing time came out, and I'm like, yeah, it's too hot to handle.
I don't know where I'd be comfortable because there's not a number on it. Let's see where he is. Right.
Wish I knew how the legal system would play out, and then it affects Xavier Worthy's draft price because I was completely out on Xavier Worthy. Then I'm like, well, maybe not. Maybe he is worth
6'11".
What do we? People keep saying 4 or 8 games, and let's just say split the difference. You say he misses 6 games. I'm not taking him that high, and he's also coming off an injury too.
The thing that scares me about him is not necessarily the legal system, but like how the NFL has decided to handle it. His hearing isn't until September 30th, which is what, week 4 or 5. assuming that you get a ruling, which is not guaranteed, then you're looking at what, 6 to 8 games? Say it's 6. If, you know, the arbitrator doesn't rule until 2 weeks after that, now you're talking about him starting his suspension in week 6 or 7. Like, then it just completely nukes all of the money weeks. And so he's a guy I like a lot, but he's much closer to off my board than I am drafting at cost.
I think he has to get down to Jerry Jeudy range before I'm like, Rashee Rice or Jerry Jeudy? Maybe Rashee? Then Debo's right there in that range too. So that's a whole round later than he's going. So drop another round and we'll talk.
Theoretically, he could be a good chaperone guy where if you've got a bunch of rookies that you're waiting to break out, you drop a Rashee Rice on that kind of build. I could see it working, but it scares me.
Since we're spitballing names here, I know Amon-Ra just keeps slowly sinking. Are you guys out on him pretty much at his ADP, or are you in?
Where's he at?
Somewhere in the middle.
He's
fifth
going
receiver.
in the first.
Yeah, 9th overall. Yeah.
It's pretty high for him, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
It's a really high floor, but we're all talking about other pieces of the Detroit offense that we're excited about. And if those guys are going to be taking a step forward, it's got to come from somewhere. And so I think if the new OC is going to put his stamp on the team, he's probably not going to be doing the same thing that Ben Johnson did for the last 3 years, which is throw it to Amon-Ra.
Or the offense as a whole taking a slight step back because they don't have Ben Johnson. You know, that's the other thing that I'm worried about. And the offensive line slightly regressing, which makes, like, you know, for me, I'm just trying to be rational about it. Just like, okay, let's just say take a little bit off of everybody's expectations. And Amon-Ra's, I thought were lowered, but it looks like it looks like he's getting a bit of a resurgence in the draft scene, because I did not see him this high just a few days ago. So it looks like people are fine with him. I mean, look, he's Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're obviously going to be making him a focal point of the offense, but I don't think he's going to be wide receiver 1. That's for sure.
I mean, if you're drafting 9th, then you're anticipating getting like London or Puka back in the 2nd. So it's either stacking, so you have a little bit of insulation, or you're just straight up like, let's go Ashton Genty or something. So
they're owed. Remind myself who their coordinator is. Is it that Morton guy?
Mm-hmm.
I did. Yeah, Morton. Okay, I did look up him the other day, and I think he's coordinated one offense in the NFL for 2 seasons. It was the Jets, and they won a total of 9 games in 2 seasons. Now, Cade McCown, or one of the McCown brothers, Josh McCown, and it was Sam Darnold his rookie season were the quarterback. So a bit of an excuse there, but still, that doesn't inspire much if you're banking on Lions to kind of be the same as they were last year. I just wouldn't expect that.
All of these things we're talking about is like what makes receivers so tricky this year, whereas the last couple of years it was the safe, cozy, position for me. And this year feels like there's a lot of landmines out there.
Sure. Puka is one of those to me, just because of that back injury and the competition for targets. And, like, I mean, look, Garoppolo is not as bad as some people make him out to be, but those targets aren't coming. Like, I mean, Stafford and Puka Nacua, some of the biggest layup targets you'll ever see, just like it was with Cooper Kupp. But I'm not sure Garoppolo is capable of running the show like that at that pace. So Puka he ends up being a guy I'm not drafting really in too many scenarios, because his whole shtick is catching, these little 7-yard hooks.
I think 2 bits of news that came out this week that gives me like a little bit more confidence in all the pass catchers are Flacco being named the starter in Cleveland and Daniel Jones being named the starter in Indianapolis. I don't expect either of those guys to hold the job all year, but I'm at least like, okay, maybe I can take a Josh Downs. You know, maybe David Njoku is perhaps not the worst pick, you know, in that range. Did those news items move anything for you?
A little, but the thing with Flacco is that how long is he going to be quarterback for? You know, it's half the season.
3.6 games.
Maybe, yeah. It seems like that's half the season sounds ambitious. So I guess I'm, as Mike always says, I'm okay losing out on some positive fantasy players and just going another direction and playing my odds there.
All right. Anything else on receiver?
No, just draft Tet.
Draft Matthew
Take Tet.
Golden.
Yeah, don't be an idiot. Grab one of those dudes. They're going to win you leagues. Awesome. Okay. Well, that's the wide receiver preview. You now know what to do. We'll see you on the next one.